Alright, so today we're going to be doing the Unit 3 study guide. I'm showing you every answer, how to do every problem, so there should be no excuses as to why you didn't get it done. I also have that little cheat sheet that I gave you guys right here. If you have your notebooks, you should have that in there. If not, it's right here. But I would study that as much as you can. So, number one, let's just dive right into this. You study for all your classes at least, so that word at least means something, at least 10 hours a week, which inequality best describes the situation. So at least, if I look at my cheat sheet over here, is at least, well, I see that right here. And that symbol is a greater than or equal to symbol. So, if I work at least, I should be greater than or equal to 10, and H in this case would have to be. So C would be my answer. How did I do that? I just looked at my little cheat sheet. Another thing you can do if you don't have your cheat sheet, worked at least. Can you work more than 10 hours? Yes. So that means the bigger number, you at least need to work 10 hours. So your bigger number has to be eaten. All right. Which inequality represents the graph below? So first off, how do you do these problems? Because they all give you a whole bunch of, they give you the graph, but they don't give you the equation. So here's how you do it. First, let's just solve the problem. So every single one of these, A, B, C, and D, are the same problem. 3k minus 5 plus 9k greater than or equal to negative 3. We'll just take that first one, and if the sign doesn't match, that means we need to get our answer first and then change the sign at the end. So 3 times k is 3k, because that's what I'm doing. If there's a parentheses, you do what we call distributive property. So 3 times k is 3k. 3 times negative 5, negative 15. Plus 9k greater than or equal to negative 3. So right away from this problem, I see a closed circle, which means that C and D are wrong because I need a closed circle no matter what. All right. So let's continue. Now, next thing I'm going to do is combine like terms. So I'm going to start off with 3k. Is there another k in the problem? Well, yeah, it's 9k right here. So what do? Well, I combine like terms. 3 plus 9, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 12k minus 15 greater than or equal to negative 3. All right. So my objective is to k by itself. Currently, k is not by itself, so I need to get k by itself. In order for me to do that, I need to add 15 to both sides. Why did I add? It's a negative, so the inverse of negative is a positive. These will cross out. I am left with 12k greater than or equal to. You owed somebody $3, you paid them 15, so 15 minus 3, that gives you an answer of 12. Last thing to do, divide by 12, divide by 12, k is greater than or equal to 1. So let's see. If I were to graph that, I see 0 and 1, so it's on the right dot, and it's going in the right direction, so therefore A is my correct answer. All right. Remember, if k was on the other side, I would go the opposite direction. My arrow points this way, so I'd go that way. If my arrow pointed this way, I would go that way. All right. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Which number below are solutions to the inequality negative 6n plus 3 is greater than 18? Select all that apply. Okay, so we're going to solve this first. Negative 6n plus 3 greater than 18. Just like we did before, I'm going to draw my line. I need to get n by itself, so I got to subtract 3 from both sides. Once I do that, I can cross out that 3 and drop down the negative 6n. Drop down my greater than sign, 18 minus 3. Well, 18 minus 3 is 15. Last thing to do would be just to divide my negative 6. So negative 6, negative 6. Alright, 15 divided by 6, we're going to leave it as 2.5. But because it's a negative 2.5. One other thing is, what did I do right here? Well, I divided by a negative, so what happens to my sign? My sign flips. Sign flips. And it's going to flip, instead of greater than, it's going to be less than. So n is less than negative 2.5. So we need to figure out, are these numbers less than 2.5? Well, is negative 3 less than 2.5? Yes, it is. Alright. Is b less than negative 2.5? Well, no, it's actually equal to. So b is incorrect. B is incorrect because it doesn't have a line underneath it. Alright. Is 1 less than 2.5? No, it's actually greater than. What about 0? Is 0 greater than? Sorry, is 0 less than 2.5? Nope. 5? No. Negative 6, is that less than 2.5? Yes. So negative 3 and negative 6 are less than 2.5. That works. Okay. Let's do number 4. Number 4 says solve negative 5y minus 2 is less than 8. So negative 5y minus 2 is less than 8. Drawing my line. I'm trying to solve for y, so that means I need to get rid of the 2 and the negative 5. So add 2 to both sides. Why did I add? It's a negative, so the inverse of negative is a positive. So 10 negative 5y. Those 2's cross out. So we talked a lot about this. When a number and a variable is next to each other, it is multiplying. We talked a lot about this, especially in my 4th period. Alright, so what do? What's the inverse of multiplication? It's division. So I divide negative 5 to both sides. Why? Again, what did I do right now? I divided it by a negative, so I got to flip the sign. And that's y is greater than negative 2. If I were to graph that, we're going to put negative 2 right here. It's an open circle. And since my y is first, I'm going to go in the direction that it tells me. So this and this is my answer. Okay, moving on to number 5. Okay, which inequality represents the solution of the inequality 6n minus 1 is greater than 3n plus 8. So 6n minus 1 greater than 3n plus 8. So first off, I'm going to draw my line to separate the sides. And I notice I have a 6n here and a 3n over here, but they're on opposite sides of each other. And I have a negative 1 and a positive 8, again on opposite sides of each other. So because they're on opposite sides, I need to get them together, but I also need them to go inverse. So I'm going to move this 3n to this 6n. How do I do that? That's a positive 3, so I'm going to minus 3n, and what I do to one side, I do to the other one. Okay, I cross out my 3n, 6 minus 3 is 3. Drop down negative 1, greater than 8. Almost done. Now let's get the 1 and the 8 together. That's a negative, so I'm going to do the inverse, which is positive. 8 plus 1 is 9. So 9 is greater than, 3n is greater than 9. I have one more step. We just talked about it. When there is a number and a variable next to each other, it is multiplying. So the inverse is division. Cross those 3's out. N is greater than 3. All right, let's see if any of these are correct. So first off, is there a line underneath it? Well, no. So it's not B, and it's not, let's actually make this a different color. It's not B or C because those have dark circles. So it's not B and it's not C because those are closed circles. All right. Notice how all of my answers are at 3, and it's going in this direction, and my N is first. So since my N is first and it's going in that direction, the answer is D. Okay. Let's move on. Solve the inequality. Solve the inequality x over 5 is less than negative 10. So x over 5 is less than negative 10. Very simple problem. All we are doing is trying to get x by itself, and currently x is being divided by 5. So how do I get rid of the 5? Do the inverse operation. The inverse of division is multiplication. So I multiply 5 to both sides. Once I multiply 5 to both sides, I can cross out both of the 5's, and I'm only left with x. So x is less than negative 10 times 5 is negative 50. And there's my answer. Is any of these correct? Yep, A. Same answer. All right, let's move on to 7. Solve the inequality. 6t minus 1 is greater than or equal to 4t plus 13. All right, so once again, I'm going to draw my line first. Let's actually do that. And then I'm going to highlight my like terms and my other terms as well. So I'm going to highlight 6t and 4t. Notice how they're on opposite sides of each other. Negative 1 and positive 13. So my two opposite ones, let's get those together. So let's move the smaller number, which is negative 4t, or positive 4t. I'm going to do the inverse, which is negative 4t. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So I'm going to cross out those 4t's. 6 minus 4 is 2. Drop down the negative 1, drop down the inequality sign, and drop down the 13. Okay. So far, the t isn't by itself, so let's get the 1 over. Notice how the 1 is a negative, so the inverse is a positive. Can cross out those ones, drop down my 2t greater than or equal to 13 plus 1 is 14. Last step to do, divide by 2. Why did I divide? Well, I noticed there's a number and a variable next to each other. The inverse is division. T is greater than or equal to 7. Is that an answer? Yes, it's A. Okay. We're going to move on to question 8. Again, if I'm going too fast, please pause the video. Does not hurt to pause. All right. A high school is trying to raise money for each class for an end of the year award show. The table below shows how much money each class has raised so far. That should say use, not us. Use this information to answer the following questions. So each class and each amount. You have your seniors, your juniors, your sophomores, and your freshmen. You have 900, 750, 675, 525. All right, the school has a goal of raising at least $4,000. So this word at least shows up again, and it's $4,000. So I want to raise at least $4,000. But in order for me to do that, I need to know which inequality sign I need to use. And just like earlier, at least, that means I need to make more or equal to $4,000. So that's going to be a greater than or equal to. All right, how much money still needs to be raised? So if I need to figure this out, I'm just going to add up all the money I've raised so far. And then I can figure out how much money All right, so I'm going to add up all my values and see if if we've reached our goal so far. And if we haven't, how much money I still need to make. All right, so I have 900. plus 750 plus 675 and plus 525. Okay, we're also going to add x to that, so I'm going to actually rewrite this, make it look a little nicer. So I'm going to do 900 plus 750 plus 675 plus 525 plus x, because I still need to add money. We already know that. It says it right here in the problem, how much money still needs to be raised. So I'm going to need an x. So I put greater than or equal to $4,000 because that's how much I want to raise. So 900 plus 750 plus 675 plus 525. So 900 plus 750 plus 675 plus 525 gives you $2,850 plus x greater than or equal to $4,000. So how much money do I still need to raise? Well, I got to subtract $2,850. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So that is $4,000 minus 2,850, leaving you with x has to be greater than or equal to $1,150. So how much money do they still need to raise? They still must raise $1,150. All right. Let's go to part 2. A local business has agreed to donate no more than half as much as the freshmen and sophomores have raised together, which inequality shows how much money B, the business will contribute. So first off, we need to figure out how much money the sophomores and the freshmen have raised. So what I need to do is I need to add 675 plus 525. Now that answer is 1,200. All right. So the business agreed to donate no more than half. So if so far they've raised $1,200, the business is going to raise just half of that. Okay. And it can be no more than that. So this has to be the greatest. And that's how much the business would give us. So half of what they've raised has to be greater than what the business is going to give us. So this right here is what the business will give us. And that is A. All right. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9, a full year subscription to online gaming is $185 up front with no monthly charge. A monthly membership costs $75 up front and $15 per month. How many months is it less expensive to have a monthly membership? Which inequality shows this problem? So let's go ahead and let's put this all together. So one of the companies offers $185. The other one offers $75 and $15 per month. So let's do the first one, $75, the blue one. Okay, that's how much you pay up front. You're never going to lose that money. That money just goes straight to them. And $15, so plus 15x, because per month, depending on how many months you do, you can figure that out. The other answer is 185. So the yellow part is 185. And the problem says, how many months is less expensive to have a monthly membership? So we want to know when would this be less than? Because we want our number to be less than, the monthly subscription to be less than 185. This is the less than sign. So again, I want this number to be less than this number. And is that an answer? Well, yeah. This right here. All right. So the monthly plan is less than the yearly plan for 0 to blank months. So how do we figure this out? Well, we simply solve this problem. So let's go ahead and let's solve it right now. All right, I'm trying to get x by itself, so let's go ahead and let's subtract 75 from both sides. So 185 minus 75 gives you an answer of 110. Drop down everything else. 110 divided by 15 gives us an answer of x would be less than 7.33 months. So we would just say the monthly plan is less than the yearly plan for 0 to 7 months. Okay. Now if this went over, you don't want to ever round up. Don't round up, just keep it down. So 7 months is your answer. All right. Create an inequality for the phrase all real numbers that are less than -1 and less than -1. So -5 and less than -1. So all real numbers, that means you're going to have an and. But notice how this is a what kind of problem? I see it right there. There's a word in there. This is an and problem. So there's a couple ways I can do this. We can do n, all real numbers are less than -5. So less than sign would be this way, -5. And n has to be less than -1. So I could do it like that, or I could also do it like this. Leave n in the middle, okay? And then we are going to put -5 and -1 here. -5 would go this way and this way. This right here would be your answer. Okay, both of these would be your answer. But we're going to go ahead and showcase both. All right, what are the solutions of -2 is less than 3y minus 4 is greater than 14? So how would I do this problem? This is an and problem, so I got to separate my and problem. So if I highlight this section, let's do this section first. So -2 is less than 3y minus 4. And then I'm going to highlight this section. And I'm going to put the word and in the middle, because this is an and problem. I know the difference between an and an or because or problems have the word or in it. So this one is going to be 3y minus 4 less than 14. So now let's simply solve this. Let's do this, add 4, add 4. And the awesome thing about and problems is what you do to one, you're also going to do to the other. So I'm going to add 4 and add 4 to both. Okay, I would cross out these, leaving me with 3y less than -2 plus 4. So you had $4 in your pocket, you spent $2, you owe them, or you still have $2 in your pocket. All right, cross out these 4's, 3y less than 14 plus 4 is 18. Okay, not done yet because I got to divide by 3 for all of these. Okay, we're going to leave 2 over 3 as it is. You do not change it, but you can cross out the 3's. All right, I'm going to cross out these 3's, which is y less than 6. All right, now remember when we have and problems, we're going to smush these together. So notice how there's a y in the middle. Well, you can easily just erase one of the y's and put it all together. So this is technically your answer. So is there a problem that looks like what I just boxed? A, well, no, A is wrong because that's a negative. B, no, they have a fraction at the end of 10 over 3. C, 2 over 3 is less than y, less than 6. Yes, that is what we have. All right. Okay, moving on to 12. Choose the correct expression paired with the correct graph to model the compound inequality. You should only have one check in the entire box. So basically what this is saying is they want us to graph this. They're trying to confuse us with the whole chart, but it's a very easy problem, but they're trying to confuse you. So you're trying to solve -1 less than or equal to x minus 3 and x minus 3 less than 4. So let's do this: a plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Cross out my 3's. -1 plus 3. While you had $3, you paid $1. That is 2 over y. 2 less than or equal to y. And then, sorry, x, not y. X. And x is less than 7. So once again, I'll write this down here. 2 less than or equal to x. I'm going to erase one of my x's. Less than 7. So is there a problem like that? Yes, the first one right here. So I know that this right here, none of these are correct. All right. So now I got to look at this row and look and see if any of these match. So I got to look at 2. Okay, 2 matches here. 2 matches here. -2, well, that's wrong. So this one's wrong. -4, that's really wrong. All right. So now let's look at 7. If 7 matches, well, yeah, that would be 7 right here, and this would be 7 right here. Notice the only difference between these two problems is one of them is closed, one of them is open. This one has closed, open. So is 2 supposed to be closed? Yes, it is. Therefore, this is your answer, because 2 is open on this one. Okay, moving on to number 13. I think we're almost done. Yep. All right, 13. Number 13, which compound inequality represents the graph shown below? So this is an and problem because they're connected. So an or problem would be wrong. This also doesn't have another piece to it, so A is wrong as well. So let's figure this out. I'm going to go ahead and do this a simple way: -3 less than or equal to m minus 4 and m minus 4 is less than -1. So again, all I did was I separated this answer and this answer, and I put it separated. So now let's just solve this really quick. So add 4, add 4, add 4, add 4. Cross out the 4's. This is m less than or equal to -3 plus 4 is 1. All right. And m less than -1 plus 4 is 3. So when I smush these together, this is 1 is less than, remember I'm just erasing one of the m's, less than 3. This is my answer. So is it C or is it D? Well, +1 should be closed, and that's what this one is. So is there one that matches? Yes, this one. All right, let's move on to 14. 14 says, what are the solutions of 3x minus 6? But it's in that bracket. Remember, that bracket means absolute value. So let's see. 3x minus 6 minus 5 equals negative 7. In order for me to do this problem, I need to get rid of the negative 5 first. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Plus 5 plus 5. That leaves you with absolute value of 3x minus 6. You borrowed $7 from somebody, you only paid them $5, you still owe them $2. Okay, there's a negative here, which means can I have a negative when I have an absolute value? The answer is no, so therefore this answer, I can't go any further, is D because it's a no solution. Negative 2, if this was a positive 2, then that would be different. But since it's negative 2, I can't go further. Alright, let's move on to 15. What are the solutions of 2 absolute value of x minus 6 equals 10? So let's try this. This one, you see how there's a number and there's no plus or minus. Since there's no plus or minus, this means it's multiplying. So how do I get rid of multiplication? Divide it. So divide 2 to both sides, leaving you with x minus 6, the absolute value of x minus 6. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now my answer is positive, a positive 5. So now I need to separate my answers. One of my answers is going to be x minus 6 equals 5. The other answer is going to be x minus 6 equals negative 5. Remember, when we have absolute values, your answers can be the absolute value of 7 is 7, and the absolute value of negative 7 is still 7. So one of your answers has to be a positive, one of them has to be a negative. Let's finish this problem. Add 6. Add 6. This is 5 plus 6, which would be 11. The other one is going to be, you owed somebody $5, you paid them $6, you owe them $1. So is there one that says 11 and 1? Yes, it is D. Okay, almost done. I think this is our last problem. Yep. All right, last problem. Absolute value of 2x plus 4 is less than or equal to 5. So if I wanted to do this, I need to separate the problems again. One is going to be a positive, one is going to be a negative. So 2x plus 4 greater than or equal to 5. 2x plus 4 greater than or equal to negative 5. All right. Now I just solved this problem. Negative 4, negative 4, negative 4, negative 4. Drop down your 2x greater than or equal to 5 minus 4 is 1. Cross out your 4's. Drop down your 2x again on this side, greater than or equal to negative 5 minus 4. That means you owed somebody $5. You asked for more money, meaning you owe them $9 this time. All right, divide by 2, because a number and a variable next to each other means you're dividing. Cross out your 2's. X is greater than or equal to 1.5 or 1/2 or 0.5. X is greater than or equal to 4.5. Because 2 goes into 9 4 times with the remainder of 1, which is 1 over 2, which is 0.5. So you are looking for an answer that says 1/2 and 4.5. Is there one of those that say that? Well, A does not. B says negative 4.5. So does D. Sorry, they're right. It's negative 4.5. Sorry, because you have a negative 9 divided by 2, negative 4.5. So you're left with B, C, or D. But D says 4.5 and 4.5, so now you're left with B or C. And you can easily figure out the answer because all of these answers are OR problems. But look at your graphs. One of them is graphed as a AND problem. The other is graphed as an OR problem. That answer is B. B is correct because B shows you that it is an OR problem. All right. Okay. So that is the study guide. You guys have no excuses as to why you didn't get it done. I will see you guys next time, and make sure you guys study.